Justice Society of America, issue 10, Geoff Johns, writing with Michaela Yannin on art. And also, it does mention on League of Comic Geeks Marco Santucci, which I was going to ignore and not put on because sometimes it's just like a leftover from a previous issue or whatever. But there was actually a couple of pages in this that I thought didn't look very Yannin, and I think it might be Santucci, so I'm going to mention him here because I think he might actually be in the book. So I will say that this is maybe one of the biggest gaps between issues, and the first couple pages of this, I was like, what the hell is going on? Who are these characters? What's happening?
So the last issue came out on March 19th. It is now, when this came out, was July 3rd.
That's 3.5 months.
Yeah.
3.5 months between issues. That is not great. Admittedly, don't get me wrong, after that first page with this, like, you know, Legion of Superhero reject team.
Yep. Legion of Substitute Heroes.
Whatever, that's what I'm calling.
Yes.
When I get back to the main story, I was like, okay, it's coming back to me now. Huntress, you know, made them all try and like reform some of these villains that she knows in her timeline were going to be heroes. And they're with, was it Gentleman Ghost is the one they're after right now, and they're still working with all these other villains that they've recruited, and they're sort of like, it's kind of tense, it's like, can we trust them? And, you know, Icicle Jr. tries to help at one point, but causes a big problem, which releases Surtur. It's the whole thing. Which is a fun sequence, the art's very good. So I was kind of of two minds about this. On the one hand, I was like, you know what, it's all come back to me now, this is still following on from what I thought they were doing before. I was just confused by those first couple of pages with the other characters. But at the same time, part of me felt like, wait, they're still doing this? That's the other negative of the big time skip, or big time gap between issues, is that I'm like, wait, we're still just recruiting these characters? I feel like we were doing that 8 months ago, because we probably were doing it 8 months ago, because the issues have been so spread out.
All right, so issue 8 came out on December 26th. Then 9 came out on the 19th. So right there, it's been 7 months for 2 issues. So yeah, they have been doing this for 8 months.
Yes, that's what it feels like. It feels like it's been even longer, even. So that aside, the actual fight scene, the characters interacting, the villains screwing up when they're trying to help, was entertaining. It felt like it was exploring the idea of them trying to incorporate these characters out of the team, and the Huntress maybe starting to doubt herself, like maybe these people can't be redeemed. Maybe that future that I knew is just gone because I'm not supposed to exist, and I can't expect them all to be good. And then the big thing, though, is that Mordru, young Mordru, Legionnaire, comes flying in with a plan, and his plan is to kill Hawkman, knowing that he'll come back, worth mentioning, but he kills Hawkman, steals his life energy, and gives it to Gentleman Ghost, which brings him back. Like, so he's no longer a ghost, he's just a guy in a white suit and top hat. And and then Hawkman like comes back, and he's pissed off naturally, because we cut to like the you know, the Hall of Justice or whatever. No, that's not the Hall of Justice, whatever the GSA's version's called.
Yep, just the brownstone. That's what I always call it.
It's the round table, though, is what I meant.
Yep.
And they're debating, like, do we let this fly? Like, did he do the right thing? And Hawkman's like, I died, and every time I die, I have to relive all my lives and deaths again. I watched my wife be killed numerous times in that moment. I have to go and find her and like try and recuperate from this. And I got a bit of a chuckle of him being pissed off.
I love that because he goes, I want him gone now before I kill him. Right? And they're all trying to calm him down. And I just think it's funny as they're all arguing, you know, because like Quiz Kid's like, well, Hawkman's immortal, isn't he? Why is this a big deal? And then that's where he gets into I have to experience all the lives and watch my wife die and all this. Yeah. But at the same time, Salem the Witch Girl, it's like, I thought it was funny. Like,
that cracked me up, actually. Yeah, Salem's little interaction there was good. Or interjection, I should say. It's also worth mentioning when we go back to the round table is when the artist change happens. It's very clearly someone else. I think when I was reading it, I didn't even click on that page. It was the next page when it was Huntress talking to young Mordru, where I was looking at the face of Mordru and going, that is not Yannin. That's just not. It's not bad. Like, it's not bad art by any means, but
it's just not Yannin. Yannin's art's a lot more softer. You know, not as heavy lines.
Yeah, not heavy inks. It's got a very different kind of look to it. But yeah, basically they're voting on whether or not they should keep Mordru on the team, and like if they can alter the future and like make him a hero, because that's Mordru's thing. He's talking to Huntress and saying, I know that I'm supposed to turn into a villain, but I don't want to. I came back to this time because I knew you were recruiting these other villains to rehabilitate them and turn them into heroes. I want to be a part of that. I want to not become what I'm going to be in like classic GSA stories. So I kind of like that as a story beat. I also enjoy the characters debating, like Wildcat's like, oh yeah, screw this guy, whereas Dr. Midnight's like, no, Yolanda, hold up a second, maybe we can so when they come back in after the vote, Wildcat's just kind of like, it wasn't unanimous. She's clearly bitter that they've just decided to let him stay. So they welcome to the JSA, and that's when the big portal opens up and the Legion come out and say, look, you've made the wrong choice, we have to take Mordru in, and basically sets up that the Legion are going to fight the JSA in the next issue, which is fine. I think this is a solid issue. It'd be nice if it was all one artist, but both art is good, but it's definitely a shift when it switches to the other artist. But the big problem here is how long is it going to actually be until we get the payoff to this cliffhanger, and will I remember the setup for it when it comes, because I was struggling at the start of this one.
So the next one's supposed to come out August 28th.
Well,
so
supposed to
be 2 months. That's why I said supposed to. So it'll be almost 2 months before the next one.
Yeah. So we'll probably see it in October.
Yeah. So
we'll be lucky if we get issue 12 of this by the end of the year.
If you told me 6 years ago Geoff Johns was doing Justice Society versus Legion, I would be so stoked. And now I'm just like, okay, just because
this is the thing. I ended up enjoying this issue a fair bit. I enjoyed all of the characters that he's playing with. I like the story and what it's doing. But this is definitely a solid case for me of the delays between issues, which I normally don't let hurt my enjoyment of things. They're so extreme between issues that I am genuinely struggling to like put myself back in where the story was when I start the new issue. And so it hinders
when
it.
I saw Legionnaire on the cover, I went, oh yeah, what's his deal? I completely forgot that was Mordru.
Yeah,
And that was the thing I think that was revealed in the last issue.
When he came swooping in and they mentioned Mordru, I'm like, oh yeah, and it all came flooding back that we talked about him coming into it last time. But the gap between issues is so extreme that it is hindering things. I would honestly say that if you had waited for the collections to read this, you probably made the smart choice, because it'll read better than this. It absolutely will.
But all the things I love about Justice Society, all of the interactions between the members, John still has a pretty good.
That's what's frustrating about it, is that it's actually still pretty good. That's the annoying part, is that it's...
and then you add in the Huntress dynamic and her whole story and being time displaced because she can't go back to her time because it doesn't exist anymore, and all of this other stuff. And now you get the Legion, who are known all for their time, and coming back to try to stop them from doing something. There's all this stuff that's very Johnsian and stuff that I enjoy. So
I would love an ongoing JSA book, but not only just because he's already done a huge run, but also because of these delays. I feel like Johns isn't the one that I want on it. Give it to. I mean, Wade would be a great choice. He may be too busy doing other bigger things, though.
And we know it's not going to be Jeremy Adams because someone asked.
Yeah.
And he said no. I mean, he could be working us, but
But regardless, I do want a future JSA book after this 12-issue series is done. But I think I will have a decent enough opinion of this book. It may not be like an earth-shattering, like defining story like Johnsy's initial run was, but I don't think it's a bad book. It's just the delays are hurting it, and that's the story of these reviews. The story has been these delays keep getting worse and worse.
Yeah. This is a book I forget that I'm reading until I see it on the stands at the shop. Like, well, that's the thing. I was like, oh yeah, Justice Society came out.
Every other book from DC has a week I expect it on in the month because they come out consistent. Even if they're bi-monthly, they come out in that same fourth week every other month or whatever. This book just shows up when it's finally ready to come out, and it's just a surprise.
Kind of like the Legion. They're time displaced. They just show up when you're least expecting them.
Yeah, but unlike the Legion, this is a welcome surprise.
I mean, hey. I'm excited to see where they go. And it's also the Legion from John's when he was writing Action Comics.
Sure.
Too. Sure. It's that Legion of Three Worlds, that Clark's Legion, if you will, too. So, timey-wimey shenanigans, I'm here for it.
All right. What are you rating GSA?
I'm going to give this an 8.
Yeah, honestly, I still quite liked it. I like what it's doing. and it was an easy read. It just the delays, but I'll give it an 8. It's sort of thing where I think the score for the collection is going to be a lot more meaningful, I think, because it's just a much better way to read this particular book. Arguably, it's better for a lot of comics to read them, even if when they are on schedule, but with this one, it's absolutely night and day.
I always thought that John's style also, he writes for the trade better than most. You know, his stuff, the earlier stuff that I read in trade, so that might be coloring that a little bit. But yeah, he thinks things out in 6 parts very well.